Welcome to the Young and the Restless. I'm Victor.
I'm Zach.
And I'm Olivia. This is a podcast that traps you in an infinite liminal space for all of eternity.
Now I lay me down to sleep. I dreamt I had a soul to keep. And if I die before I wake, will that dream just go on for its own sake?
I always mix up chicken and kitchen. Like all the time. I will say one when I mean the other because they're kind of the opposite of each other if you think about it.
It's phonetically inside out.
Yes, exactly. Anyway, Victor's been getting up and getting on the rowing machine in the morning and
You guys have a rowing machine?
Yes, we do.
You're going to get a ripped back.
I got it I don't have to go to the gym anymore, and I use it for 5 minutes at a time. And I'm like, yeah, that felt good. I'm good.
Anyway, the sound of him on the rowing machine inspired a dream where this guy was singing a song to that rhythm about how he buried his dog under a tree and that the tree turned the dead dog into his mom. And I don't know.
Do you remember the melody? Can you sing it for us?
It was to the melody of Under the Boardwalk.
I was picturing a sea shanty.
Yeah. When I heard rowing, that's where my mind went to.
That would have been better.
I found the song that I had in my dream that I sent you guys. I still don't know where the melody came from. Well, the lyrics are from the dream, and the melody is hauntingly familiar to me, and it makes sense that my subconscious would use a real melody.
Okay.
But I don't know where I've heard it.
Could you hum it for us?
Maybe. I got the lyrics right here. The hex, the head below the basement, and there's no one in the world to let you. It was there's also a background group of people that were going, hey.
Okay.
It was the hex, hey, the head below the basement, and there's no one in the world to let you down. Along those lines. It was very
The hex, hey. There's something in the basement.
The head below the basement. That's
head
very
below the
creepy.
basement. There's no one in the world. Those lines.
I feel like I heard, it reminds me of a melody that I maybe heard in a rap song in the 90s when I was a kid.
Okay.
But it weirdly did have kind of a sea shanty feel with the
So
with the group
listeners, if
vocals.
you recognize this song, please write into the Young and the Restless pod at Gmail and let us know what Zach's dreaming about.
I'd probably have to sing it better for them to pick up on it. Maybe I'll drop that in post right here. To a
Just
cleaner
fully
take.
produce it. There was this episode of Reply All where there was this guy on the internet who was like, does anyone remember this song? And he could sing it and he remembered it so vividly, but nobody remembered it when he would sing it for them. And this guy went out and fully produced this whole song from memory. He knew all of the parts for all the instruments. He knew most of the words and recreated it to try and find the person who wrote it. And it was a real song that existed. He was just the only guy who remembered it. So maybe that's what's happening with you.
But it did exist. He wasn't having a Mandela effect.
It was real. It was.
That was a good episode. That's a good podcast.
It is a good podcast.
Turn this off. Go listen to
No,
it.
you can listen to us. Reply All is dying, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And then we'll meet you back here.
Yeah. The only other thing that's been new or weird in my dreams is that I've been having a particular friend of mine show up in my dreams a lot recently. I'm not sure why. They're all positive dreams. She's always kind of doing something badass or exciting.
Is she killing it in real life?
She's always killing it.
So maybe you're just thinking good thoughts about her.
Maybe.
Being proud of your friend. I keep dreaming about a big body of water, a beach with a bunch of piers, and but it kind of looks like Lake Washington. It's if you went to one of the beaches along Lake Washington, but it was actually the ocean scale. So there's freighters, big ships, and long stretches of beach and giant piers. And like way out on the horizon, the waves are really huge, but by the time they get to the shore, they're pretty gentle. And I can't remember any particular dream, but I know that I keep seeing that location. But even though I live in California now and I'm near the ocean, I haven't seen it as much as I used to see. I lived right next to Lake Washington, so I used to see it like every day. So I think that's why it kind of looks like that.
So you said that there are big waves out to sea, but it's actually calm, and by the time the waves are getting to you, it's calm.
Yeah. Yeah, and most of them are really pleasant, serene kind of dreams where I'm swimming around or in a boat. And actually, the most recent one that I remember the most of was I was dating somebody. I don't remember who it was supposed to be, but she wanted to get in a rowboat, and I saw these gigantic waves, and I was like, "You're going to capsize. You're going to drown." But then she got in the boat, and like by the time the waves got to her, they're like a little splash.
Well, that's an interesting like theme, right? Is the idea of the scary waves in the distance being nothing by the time they get to you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that could maybe be like a self-reassuring kind of signal you're trying to send to yourself about how the far-off anxieties usually aren't anything by the time they get to you.
That makes sense, because most nights I go to bed thinking like, all right, another day I've paid for this apartment.
Right.
Like I'm always grateful to like lay my head down on a pillow in Los Angeles.
Dream Bible says to dream of an ocean represents powerful uncertainty in your life. Confrontation with negative situations or negative emotions, your biggest struggles or most baffling challenges. Feeling that problems are too enormous. It says to dream of a calm or pleasant ocean view represents stability and emotional balance. Issues have been confronted or accepted. You are handling yourself well or have taken control of a difficult situation.
Yeah, that tracks.
Yeah.
That is like a paradigm that I deal with daily, where I this constant like heavy feeling that things are not going to be okay, because I don't feel like particularly stable, but it keeps working out. Nothing bad has happened to me. And I have no real reason to believe it's going to. It's just unpredictable.
Yeah.
And you're not just treading water, right? It seems like things are getting better and better over time.
Yeah, but when things are in motion, they have the potential to also go backwards.
Right.
But yeah.
If it was pink, you'd have a serious lust problem, it sounds like, from what I'm reading here. So just look out for pink oceans. Want to roll into the Reddit dream?
Yeah. Let's
Okay.
do it.
So I was doing a little scanning today. I've got one like kind of beefy solid dream that I think we'd talk about, or I've got a couple little snippets of people asking questions. So which would you guys prefer?
Thought you said a beefy salad dream.
It's a real beefy salad.
That is what he
dream.
said. But it did take me a minute to realize he didn't mean a salad of beef.
I think I said
I think you
beefy
said solid.
sort.
Oh, wow.
Or
We all heard different things.
Beefy solid or beefy
I
sort
heard
of
salad.
I heard beefy salad, but then I assumed you meant beefy solid.
Maybe I'm thinking about dinner again.
Why don't you pick? You're familiar with them.
Okay.
Salad.
One beef salad. So this is on the Dreams subreddit on Reddit, Our Dreams, posted by user pleasant-winner 3257. The subject is, my house turned into a liminal space. I took a nap today and had the weirdest dream. The apartment I live in turned into liminal space. If I looked outside the windows, I could see another interior space that was almost identical to my house instead of the usual road, trees, and houses I normally see in real life. That was for all windows on both sides of my house. I opened a window and crawled into one of the clones of my house, only to notice it was furnished in a slightly different way. Instead of my cat, I saw my parents' cat, and there were also elements from the house I grew up in. The further I went, sneaking into my house's clones from the windows, the creepier and darker it got. The dream also gave me the illusion I woke up. Sometimes, while exploring the copies of my house, I would suddenly find myself in my actual bed, wearing the clothes I was wearing in real life, and think, oh, I woke up. But then I would get up and look outside the window and see I couldn't see the world outside, just infinite copies of my house on both sides of the apartment. Only then, I knew I wasn't actually awake, and that I had to keep exploring. Each copy had more and more furniture and elements from my early teenagehood and childhood, stuff I could remember from real life. I then realized each apartment copy was set in a specific spot in time and space, sort of like that bookshelf scene in Interstellar. They were all empty, as if no one was home, except for one. I walked through many copies, then I eventually sneaked into yet another clone of my house and saw 13-year-old me. The walls were full of posters, and there was stuff I remember from the 2010s laying all around. I had to hide from her and her, or my, family. They were all about to leave. Once everyone left, I got to walk into the room and lay on her bed. I heard a voice, and I noticed there was a man laying next to me. He said, "I've been in love with you ever since you were this young." Then I woke up. Yeah.
That's that Jordan Peele movie.
Oh, with the...
Is it Us?
The clone stuff?
Yeah.
Oh.
The other world where it's like a dark mirror.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it reminded me of.
It reminded me of...
And Interstellar, apparently.
It also reminds me of that thing that has happened to me where I'll have like a sleep paralysis adjacent thing. And it only happens, or it usually happens when I take a nap.
Yeah, like this person.
Yeah. I'll take a nap and I will wake up and I will get up and I will walk through my house from the place where I fell asleep. And slowly I will start to realize that things are off. And it gets to a certain point where I kind of snap back into where my body actually is asleep. And then I will kind of have a normal sleep paralysis thing where I'm trying to get up. And it just repeats. But it kind of seems like a similar thing where like this person is made lucid over and over again. And it kind of puts them back to where they started each time.
Yeah, which is weird because every time I become lucid, I usually wake up or stay lucid. I don't know if I've ever lost lucidity and then continued to have a dream, forgetting that I was dreaming. But I wonder if there's something about naps, like the short-term nature of it, that makes that more prone to happen.
Victor, what made you pick this dream?
Well, I found the idea of like the infinite repeating space really interesting. And it's kind of like a sci-fi or like short fiction concept. So it's cool to me that this person like experienced that. And then I felt like the weird dark turn at the end really caught me by surprise. It's just like a very, very creepy and like unexpected way to wrap the dream up. So you're both talking about lucid dreaming, but it seems to me, looking at this, that there is a lucidity in like the thinking that they have woken up and then realizing, oh no, I must still be dreaming because I can't see outside, right? But it seems like there's like added complexity as the dream rolls on. So first it's just like infinite space. Then it's like infinite space, but you're waking up in your bed. And then it was this realization that like all of the different rooms represented different time periods or like alternate realities. And then finally there's like other people in the dream from like different time periods. And then this creeper monster at the end, right? So it's like, that doesn't, to me, read like a regular lucid dream, right? It continued to get weirder and weirder as the thing rolled on.
Yeah, like they had glimpses of lucidity, but with no actual control that usually comes along with it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this person saw something they weren't supposed to see. Like, you get trapped in this dream loop where if you stay in it long enough, you're gonna get deep into some real weird shit. But you're not meant to go that far.
Yeah, I love the idea of like exploring your psyche or your subconscious, and like if you get too far away, like you're too deep into it, there's like monsters lurking there. I find that to be a really interesting concept.
It's interesting that she doesn't recognize the man either.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that because everyone else was like an alternate version of somebody she knew, for but on a different place in the timeline or something.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
But this was the only like stranger danger.
That feels to me like a ghost or like a dream demon's been stalking her since she was a small child.
The feeling I got from that figure, and this is just me like putting myself in her shoes, like imagining that this dream was happening to me. That figure to me felt like the like architect or orchestrator of the infinite liminal spaces, and she just got too deep into the maze and found the like, seventh circle.
Yeah, because the thing knew like the guy knew like she was experiencing seeing a younger version of herself, so it kind of seemed like he was kind of ushering her through this experience a little bit.
Yeah.
Very creepy. I get something out of dream monsters where part of the gimmick of what is scary about them is that you both know you're in a dream.
Yeah. Ugh, I don't like that.
Yeah, the Freddy Krueger effect.
Mm-hmm.
It's the kind of thing that makes me afraid to go to sleep.
Yeah.
What was the name of that horror movie where the kids are exploring the catacombs under Paris?
Oh,
but they keep not being able to go back, so they have to keep going deeper.
Yeah, we
As
watched
Above,
that.
So Below or something.
As
Yeah.
Above, So Below.
That's what the like never-ending liminal spaces reminded me of too. Which was what I'm severely claustrophobic, so that movie really bothered me. They just keep going deeper into the earth.
Yeah.
That and The Descent. And liminal spaces too. That sometimes if I just want to creep myself out, but I don't have like the time for a horror movie, I'll just Google or go on Instagram and just look at liminal spaces, just like arcades with no games. And
the parts of the internet I gravitate towards these days, I don't get like a lot of creepypasta exposure anymore, but something like floated past me the other day, which was like, oh, you got to be careful or you'll like clip through reality and end up on like the other side of like the digital wall of what separates our reality from like it's described as like infinite office space. It's just like fluorescent lights and just infinite empty office space. And
yeah,
then it's
I don't
like,
know why
oh,
that's so terrifying.
there's maybe something creeping around out there in that infinite space, Yeah, I love that.
My algorithm is absolutely infected with that kind of stuff right now. I've been going, especially my front page of YouTube is all, the dark side of Reddit. Like, it's just internet urban legends.
Yeah, I see lots of like glitch in the matrix videos. Like, look, you can see in this security camera footage from me at work that I cut the lemon in half and then I turned around and I have to cut it again.
Your TikTok is always bringing you to like high def video of like aliens and monsters and Sasquatch and shit, and it's like convincing, but like my gut reaction to all that stuff is like it couldn't be. But also who has the time and the money to just be doing all these like fake like high quality videos?
Yeah, it's great. I mean, that can turn a profit now with ad revenue and sponsors and stuff.
Yeah.
Money's probably making itself for some of these people.
Yeah, you're right. There's probably a whole cottage industry of like really convincingly showing people that there's like aliens and Sasquatch and stuff, which there is, but you don't have video of it.
No, that would be bigger news. I've been getting really into ARGs lately. Do you know what those are?
No, I haven't heard of that.
Alternate reality games. I'm probably going to get this explanation wrong and then people will yell at me about it. And I'm just now kind of learning about it. It's fascinating to find out that there's like an entire vehicle for entertainment that I didn't even know existed. And it's this like It's like people making horror stories essentially out of like artifacts of media. So it's not like a movie or a TV show or like one singular thing. It'll be like somebody creates a YouTube channel with all these creepy videos that like tell a story if you put in like the detective work to piece them together, and it often comes with like social media accounts that belong to the characters within, and it's the whole thing is presented as if it's real.
Olivia ran across one of these like a couple months ago. Do you remember there's the guy that was like creepy and doing the dances, and then people were like, oh, if you watch carefully you can see he's got like he's probably keeping someone kidnapped or something.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff like that.
Yeah.
Okay, what scares me though is that like what if somebody's not doing that and everyone just thinks it is that?
That's part of what's supposed to be unsettling about it.
Well, yeah. I mean, this guy could have easily been I don't know.
Yeah, but you could see that also being that kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I don't like the ambiguity of it, though.
I don't either.
Yeah, 99% of them eventually, the internet sleuths will definitively prove that they're just game masters, you know?
I was reading about one recently. I can't remember. It was like another TikTok thing, and I like went down a Googling rabbit hole about it. But it was like this woman that was doing these videos where it was like an ASMR thing of her eating.
I hate those.
A mukbang? I'm drawing a blank on her name, but I know exactly who you're talking about.
Right.
She'll put in the descriptions, like she'll like capitalize the H in the middle of this word and the E in the middle of that word, and it spells out help.
Right. And it's like, the description I read of the last video sounded really horrific. It sounded like, I mean, they could have faked this, I guess, but it sounded like she like cracked a tooth or like a tooth fell out of her mouth.
Oh.
She was, physically injured. You could tell she was like missing a tooth. And people say they can hear in the background of their videos someone like saying eat faster.
The account like left a comment. People were like, I'm concerned. And the account was like, she's fine.
Yeah, but a lot of people attribute that to her being French and them using pronouns differently.
But that's what's so creepy. Is like you don't know if this is like a really elaborate like art project or like you're really onto something fucked up.
I really don't like the idea of like a serial killer pretending to be one of those.
Right.
Not that that's like a real concern. It's not something that happens all that often, but I guess it. And I guess that is the appeal of it, is that, like, I mean, it could be.
Yeah, the thing about that one, if she was putting cryptograms or whatever they're called into the descriptions of the video, you know, like subtly putting help me in there, why would the captor let her write the description?
Exactly.
Right. Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense.
That's exactly the thought I had as I was reading the thing. I was like, what? He's like, get over there and sit on YouTube and upload the video.
Yeah, you do all the legwork. Kate Yup was her name.
That's right. Yeah. I love shit like that, though. Like, I mean, obviously that's disturbing, but I find that fascinating.
Yeah.
Did you watch the one I sent you? I Am Sophie?
You did.
Well, no, we started it. Wait, is that one of these things?
Yeah. Did you only watch the first 3 videos are way different. It gets really...
Okay. We will continue watching it.
We thought maybe that it was like dry enough humor that it crossed over into just being it was like a Poe's Law thing where it was like so close to the thing it was parodying that it was just the thing it was parodying.
No, that's an example of an ARG that you can tell is an ARG because they are using dry humor and they are being satirical.
Right.
But it takes a hard left turn after like the second or third episode.
Cool. We'll get back into that.
Yeah, let's do that.
I think we watched the first 2.
Yeah.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, I should have said stick it out. It gets better.
You're like, I feel like this is better if I say nothing at all. I was like, I gave it a shot.
Zach's taste in entertainment is getting real weird.
I thought you were
Next
like
he's going to be sending me Kardashians.
more hip than we are. You could sit through the multiple layers of irony and get something out of it. And we're just like, I don't know, put on another slasher. Like,
no, that's what it turns into.
Oh, okay.
But more cerebral than that. It's really well made.
That's awesome. Yeah, no, we will dig back into that.
People had dreams, they don't want
I had a really disturbing dream that I was thinking we could talk about today.
Let's do it.
I also feel like it maybe requires like some kind of trigger warning for like trypophobia or like bodily stuff. It was like not super gory, but it like is triggering in a very particular way for a particular crowd. So
Okay.
you know who you are.
Yeah. And if that's you, write in and tell me if hearing a description is bad enough. I thought it was just like a visual phobia, but maybe not.
I mean,
maybe a trigger warning couldn't hurt. So
I
that's
would
the
like
thing.
I want to see if this phases you, because it upsets me a little bit, and I don't usually think of myself as having trypophobia.
Trypophobia.
whenever I see the pictures, I don't like them, but they don't upset me. But
Right. But hearing this dream made me a little uncomfortable. So let's hear it.
Okay. So in this dream, I was sitting on the floor and I was eating candy. And I had this little duck figurine, but it was made out of like nerds, the candy, like little tiny balls of candy. And I set it down on my bare knee and I like pointed at it and told Victor to look at it. And he was like, oh, nice, a duck or whatever. I don't know. And so then I just picked it back up, but it left like a pocket on my knee of like nerds deeply embedded into my flesh. And so I started like picking them out of this.
Like a golf ball, like golf ball dimples.
Not quite. It was more like, picture if you cut a circle of flesh off of my knee and in the space, the raw space.
Like with a melon baller?
Not quite. It wasn't deep. It was shallow.
Okay. Just trying to get a visual.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. So there's no skin there, but it's like kind of it's an open wound and it's not very deep, but there's like nerds deeply embedded into it. And so I start picking the candy out, like trying to get it out. And then I'm like realizing that it's like kind of, it's also underneath the skin on the edges of the wound. And so I'm kind of having to slide my finger under the skin to like get it out. And then before long, I'm literally like reaching with my whole arm, scraping candy out. And then I am fully inside of this pocket, like scraping.
On your thigh?
I'm like in it, like my whole self is inside of it. And there's just all of this
on
candy.
Your leg.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to explain, but that's how it went. And I'm like scraping candy out, like towards me to get it out. And it's not just candy anymore. It's like a whole bunch of junk and trash and like, yeah.
No good.
Like in the area between like the muscle and skin.
Yeah.
That's like what I'm picturing.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, what do you think that means?
We're not eating nerds for a while.
I haven't had a nerd in so long.
Not a single nerd?
Not a single nerd. I had a Jolly Rancher last night for the first time in what felt like 2 decades.
Can you imagine if I was eating nerds and someone was like, yo, can I have a nerd?
One green, please.
You know, it kind of reminds me of some of the poop dreams that we've talked about where like you can't get the thing done and it's getting worse and more gross. Where for me, it was like there was a small problem on my leg where I was like, oh, I accidentally embedded this in here. Let me get that out. And the problem just got bigger and bigger until I was literally swallowed by it.
Yeah, like a body horror version of when you just spread a mess around on the counter instead of, because you didn't get enough rag to sop it up and you just make it worse.
Reminds me of those horror stories of someone that like takes like the wrong drugs and then starts like picking at themselves.
Yeah.
And then just keeps going. Does
Yeah,
permanent damage.
It felt
That's
like that too.
That's a common meth thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
Not even once, guys. What? I'm trying to like hang some significance on candy.
There were a few symbols here. There was candy, but then also the candy was originally just a cute little figurine of a duck.
Yeah.
Which I mean, I'm not surprised. Like, there's always an animal in my dreams, just always.
Somehow I doubt there's significance to nerds specifically.
Yeah,
Maybe.
I think it was just the size of it was, I don't know. It was just like a disturbing way for it to like manifest.
The perfectly upsetting texture of candy. But, because yeah, my like knee-jerk reaction is that like, you know, something like candy getting under your skin and spreading. I don't know. Candy might represent something bad for you, you know?
It might. And then like once I got in there was a whole bunch of other shit in there. There was like trash and like junk. And it looked like someone had been like squatting in there.
Oh my God. That's disgusting. To dream of candy represents something that feels good to think about, enjoyment, or self-indulgence. You may be feeling joy or experiencing a special treat, a pleasurable experience you are having. Candy may also reflect you enjoying yourself, thinking of plans you have for the future. That's it. That's all we got on candy.
Okay.
There's no candy negative.
Nope.
All right.
Candy's always good.
There's candy examples.
Sometimes I wonder about the person who wrote this website.
It's got to be one guy, right?
It's one guy. It's one guy.
You know, with you really hit Guy hard there. It's not a woman. I often wake up in the middle of the night with a craving for candy.
That's interesting.
I'm not a big sweets person. I don't eat a lot of sugar.
Yeah.
Typically. But like pretty frequently I'll wake up because I have to pee or something. But at like somewhere between 2 and 4 in the morning, and I'll just wish I had candy in the house. I keep frozen grapes instead for that. I'll snack on frozen grapes because it's sweet. But
my dad wakes up in the middle of the night and eats pickles, and he has always told me that it's because it makes him dream.
that sounds great. I would love a pickle in the middle of the night.
Well, apparently they make my dad dream, so maybe
I'm
give
gonna
that a
try
go.
that.
Yeah.
But anyway, back to your dream. I wonder if Peeps makes or Nerds makes a peep. You know what I mean? Like I wonder if there is a duck shaped nerd-like candy.
Yeah, you're thinking of like a little rubber duck.
Oh no, that's not what it was like. It would look like a real duck.
No,
but
it's
made of
interesting
candy.
because like of course you would picture a peep. But yeah, no, it was like it was shaped like an actual duck.
Yeah, I guess I was picturing a real duck. I was picturing like a little bill and everything.
Yeah.
I also don't think this adds much. I feel like your dream is like way off the map for Dream Bible.
Let's hear it.
To dream of a duck represents you or someone else in waking life that is aware of everything happening around them. Positively, ducks may reflect preparedness and savviness, being shrewdly informed or having inside information, feeling that it is easy to adapt or get away with something. Negatively, a duck may represent gossip or talking about other people behind their backs, an annoying twerp in your life that won't go away, or that you feel always gets away with something negative. It may also be a sign that you don't like being as informed as you are.
Did you have 3 entries pulled up?
I just pulled up skin. To dream of skin represents the mental and emotional boundaries between you and other people and the events of your life. It's how you protect or resist attacks on your feelings or ego. Alternatively, skin in dreams may reflect your ability to like yourself or feel good about yourself, heightened sensitivity or not feeling good about something, not feeling good about what someone said to you, hurtful comments. So there's having no skin, you've got skin. There's burned skin, you're not burned. This is close. To see a creature that burrows under the skin, or creatures, would symbolize problems that bug you or that have gotten to you.
What are you putting together?
the crystal meth thing too.
Yeah. Okay. So then there's
There's a
snake shedding, and then it leads in with crystal meth addicts often hallucinate about bugs burrowing holes and crawling under their skin. This may symbolize their annoyance about the drug's effects feeling to have permanently worn off and leaving the addict unable to feel good about themselves anymore. So where are you at?
How much meth are you on right now?
No, that doesn't track, but
You made a face like some of the other stuff did.
oh
with
yeah,
du-
no,
with ducks
absolutely. Ducks and skin and candy, honestly. So this friend of mine has been coming to me with really in-depth information about her dating life, which I don't mind. I enjoy our friendship and hearing about her life and connecting with her. I really like the kind of dynamic that me and this friend have where we talk really in depth about things. We always have. And that's really rewarding for me. It's something that makes me feel close to this person. But it had kind of gotten to a point where I was so involved, like just because I had all of this information, that it became kind of a stressful thing for me to like know all of her personal information and like all the ins and outs of her dating life. And when things were not going in a direction that I felt like I would want for myself if I were her, it would like became a stressful thing for me to hear about it because I was hearing about it a lot. So that's ducks.
The classic basketball paradigm. Skins are ducks.
Being shrewdly informed or having inside information. It may also be a sign that you don't like being as informed as you are. I literally used those words to her the other day.
So that's where the skin and the under the skin thing comes into play. You think that is like the classic meaning behind that? Just the stress and...
To dream of skin represents the mental and emotional boundaries between you, other people, and the events in your life. It's how you protect or resist attacks on your feelings.
It's very specific and relevant stress.
My mental capacity had been like really overwhelmed by the events of this other person's life.
Her duck was under your skin. You think you're figuring it, you're putting the pieces together. You're like externally processing.
Yeah, a little bit.
So the candy here represents like the good, positive thing that you want, which is like a connection with your friend.
Mm-hmm.
The duck is the corruption of that positive relationship and the shift from that being like a good, enjoyable thing to you having too much information and it being crossing into an unhealthy dynamic. And then the duck then burrowing under your skin or causing this like burrowing under your skin that you have to dig into and becomes more and more horrifying is your increasing stress and anxiety over the corruption of this, what should be positive dynamic. And I think the cherry on top of the metaphor here is that you took the duck and you showed it to me because we talk about this a lot.
And then what do you think all the squatters' trash was? It is interesting that you used the word squatting or squatter and before you came to the conclusion that somebody's living rent-free in your brain.
You're right. And it kind of did look like someone had fully just like been living there.
I like that. The living rent free, deeply under your skin. Yeah.
This is weird for me to talk about a little bit. Like it's not. I'm not like. I'm good with us going here, but I'm having a hard time like summing these things up. Yes, exactly.
But you were able to have a heart to heart about those boundaries in that situation with this friend already.
Well, yes, and this friend is a very good friend of mine. Like this friendship is solid. This person is going through a time right now, and I'm more than happy to be there for them, it's just kind of a fine line situation, you know.
But she was able to hear you out about your perspective. And I'm just curious, did you happen to have that conversation before or after this dream? Or is it an ongoing conversation?
Around the same time.
One of the flaws in the premise of what we're doing here that keeps coming up is if you're dreaming about something, it's a thing that is like affecting your life on an emotional level. And so if you start digging into what the meaning of that thing is, there's a good chance you're going to run into a thing that's distressing to you and that you don't want to talk about on a podcast that's going to blast out to however many people.
Yeah. Yeah, I think we're just realizing that we have to be more prepared to get into the shit than we thought we would have to. Oh, dude, I thought about your song lyric the other day about meditation.
Oh, yeah.
I was meditating, and like when you told me about that lyric, or Olivia mentioned it, I was like, can't really relate. And I was meditating the other day, and just some shit bubbled up, and I was like, what the fuck? My brain was just like, hey, are you ready to forgive yourself for this? And I was like, I forgot about that. No, I'm
not doing this again. It is crazy that we can really like get into like what's going on in your life.
Yeah.
Talking about this stuff.
It's wild. Like ducks? Are you fucking kidding me? Ducks?
I thought, no fucking way does that duck mean anything.
I knew that this was going to mean something. Like when you pulled up candy, even though candy seemed like the least, like once I thought of what the candy means, the rest of it, I was like, oh.
I think our ongoing discomfort, though, is going to be part of the entertainment value.
Yeah.
Like the further we get, the more we're going to be like, all right, here's one that I thought was fun. But like, just apprehensively like, here's a simple, harmless dream, I hope.
Our most like on their face fucked up dreams are going to be like, look at the personal growth I've done.
And then your dreams about candy are going to be about the worst thing you've ever done in your entire life.
I don't know if this will inform your rundown that you're going to give, but we talk about the predominant feeling in dreams a lot as being a factor in the meaning. Mm-hmm. I was just curious if the feeling in the dream was disturbing and intrusive and violating, or was it like cathartic to like try and clean that stuff out?
I was never going to clean it out in the dream. Like
so
it was really disturbing, and by the time I was fully inside the skin hole, like there was so much shit in there, like, and I didn't even know where to put it. I couldn't get it out. It was just like everywhere. Yeah.
Well, I think you've been feeling really overwhelmed by this kind of thing, and so that's probably a reflection of that, not it really being a permanent problem.
Yeah.
So the situation, as I understand it, is Olivia has a really good friend that's, going through kind of an exciting part of her life where she's out dating, out there trying new things, and she's gonna fall and make mistakes and scrape her knee and get up again and keep running. And she's been bringing the play-by-play, day-by-day details of this exciting part of her life to Olivia. And Olivia has been really invested in giving this person her best advice and really trying to help her get through this period in a way that, from Olivia's perspective, will be as painless as possible. And it can be really frustrating when you think, from the outside perspective, you think, oh, if they just did X, Y, Z, things would be going really good for them. And then that person instead goes off and does their own thing, right? And that can be draining and exhausting because you really just want this person to be happy and okay. And instead, you're seeing them go through the messiness of their own life, right? So they recently talked about like how their dynamic is working and what's not working for both of them. And it's just friend stuff. It's just their dynamic needed some talking about. And I think they're in a better place about it now. But this dream, in some way, reflects Olivia's perspective, which is she's tired because she's seeing her friend go through trials and tribulations, and she just wants her friend to be okay.
Gotta let baby duck fly. Now I'm all afraid to do my dreams. Because I have two that I could do that I had recently, and they're both kind of funny and lighthearted. But we'll see.
I think you seem like you're in a good place lately. Ocean's calm.
Mm-hmm.
Your baby is fine.
Then my wife died.
But yeah.
Well, we'll get to that.
That's true. We lost that episode.
The lost episode.
Mm-hmm. Every episode from here on out, we're going to just make references to the lost episode.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe we just never do it again. Just let it be lore.
It was our best episode.
It was good.
By far, the best thing we've ever done,
It's like
and you'll never get to hear it.
Tenacious D song. You just have to believe us. But yeah, I have one about jungle cats and another one that's the one I had last night, and I just remembered it. I don't know what you were talking about made me think of it, but I suddenly remembered the dream I had last night, and it's really not safe for work, and maybe a little bit, I don't know, delicate. I might be embarrassed talking about it, but it's really funny.
I want to hear it.
Yeah, I'd be lying if I said that wasn't intriguing.
I mean,
The
it's
second one.
you're like, all right, jungle cats or my deepest, darkest secret.
That are a
it's not
little
secret.
sexy.
It's just it's something that everybody does, but it's embarrassing.
Let's hear your sexy secrets.
Okay. So last night I had a dream where I was trying to masturbate. I was just trying to take care of business, and it was one of those, a lot like our poop dreams, where you're trying to get a thing done.
Mm-hmm.
Actually, a lot like the poop dream, because you're trying to get a bodily function done, trying to relieve yourself in a way. And I was in a room, and it was an unfamiliar house to me, but this was my bedroom, and it was on the second floor.
Wait, was there a liquor store clerk staring at you?
Just in the corner of the bedroom. No. I like to watch.
Are you gonna buy something? Or?
But it's like a really nice house, not like way nicer than any house I've ever lived in. But it was my room, I felt like, but I lived with my parents again. But it's like, it was the middle of the night, and I knew they were asleep. And I was just trying to take care of business. And then I realized that my door was open, and across the hall was their door, and it was open, and I could see them sleeping. And I was like, fuck. So I stopped what I was doing and got up and shut their door carefully, and then went back to it, and then realized I forgot to shut my door. And I was like, if they get up in the middle of the night. And so I went and shut my door, and then I went and sat next to the window. And this is where it got really like dispassionate, like really just trying to, I keep saying take care of business, but it's the best euphemism I have. I was like I was doing a chore, like I was mopping the floor. I was just trying to get it done. And so I was absent-mindedly looking out the window, just like looking around. And I saw that the neighbors were, I'm on the second floor, so I'm looking down, and they're I don't know what they're doing, but they're out but they're like doing yard work or something. There's like 7 or 8 of them.
That's a lot of neighbors.
Yeah, and I'm just watching them like mow the lawn or whatever under like floodlights, because it's the middle of the night. And then I realize that my lights are on, and the window actually extends all the way to the floor. So I'm just sitting naked next to a totally glass wall, cranking it. At that point, I remember I got up and I went to the other side of the bed, so the bed would be blocking the wall. And I was like, God damn it, I forgot about this glass wall. And I sat down on the other side of the bed where I would finally be like somewhat private, but I was in the middle of the room, and I just felt, even though there's nobody around like directly looking at me, I felt watched, and I felt icky. And so I just stopped.
This is totally a poop dream.
It has all the makings of one, huh?
It does.
Mm-hmm.
All the trappings.
To dream of masturbating represents pleasing yourself mentally or emotionally, fantasizing, daydreaming, or pleasant thoughts about desires, wishes, or goals, things that may not be realistic at the moment. You or some aspect of your personality is more focused on enjoying yourself or being successful than on true achievement or real life experiences. You may see masturbating in a dream when you are spending a lot of time daydreaming about enjoying success, leisure, or using power to attain what you want in life. Positively, dreaming of masturbating represents feeling good by yourself because everything else is too pathetic to waste your time with. Feeling being safe on your own because every other option is too dangerous, ignorant, or pathetic to waste your time with. Enjoy. Yeah, a man wrote this.
I know.
I was just thinking, that definitely wasn't the feeling of the dream, me being like, yeah, I'm too awesome for everything else.
Enjoyable experiences with yourself are better than with other people. Feeling that nobody is good enough or worthy enough to enjoy spending time with you. Relying on yourself to have a good time because every person or option available to you is too boring, ugly, unintelligent, or immoral to accept.
This is the positive of masturbating.
I don't see a negative masturbation. There's nothing negative about masturbation.
The positive is just that I'm too awesome and everyone else is ugly, dumb, and immoral.
I've never felt superior to anybody.
Feeling that there is nothing special at all about something enjoyable, and you just want to get it out of the way to go back to more interesting or professional experiences. And that seems to resonate
That's
a little
closer. Yeah, because like I said, it wasn't like I wasn't having a grand old time.
I can't believe how short the masturbation entry is. You'd think they'd have like masturbating in front of neighbors, masturbating in front of a window, masturbating in front of your parents, right? All just in this dream.
Well, I think you could combine it with other entries.
True.
The first paragraph maybe resonates. I don't know. Fantasizing about desires, wishes, or goals, things that may not be realistic at the moment, some aspect of your personality that is more focused on enjoying yourself or being successful than on true achievement or life experiences. How did that part sit with you?
Up until the last sentence.
Yeah.
I do feel like I'm right now very focused on actual, real achievements more than fantasies. And the act itself almost felt like it was just like a hurdle that I had to jump before I could focus on other things, which I think it said something somewhere in that paragraph about wanting to move on to other more practical things.
Feeling that there's nothing special about something enjoyable and you just want to get it out of the way to go back to more interesting or professional experiences.
And it feels like a very literal interpretation. Because I have not been concerned about dating at all in quite some time. So I'm just not professionally, financially, emotionally like where I want to be before I start doing that again.
And so it makes sense if you're feeling that way, right? Where you are on the path towards like being somewhere that you're happy being, but you're not there yet, right? So it makes sense to be focused on that. You're chugging along towards like the version of yourself where you feel like you can relax. And in the meantime, it maybe is hard to enjoy the life you are in right now, right?
It's interesting to think that maybe you could read this dream the same way that you could just read actually masturbating in real life. Like, well, I'm not going to go find somebody. So let's just blow some steam off before we get back to work.
It is interesting that it's like how similar it is to some of the poop dreams that we've talked about. Like,
yeah, because lack of privacy was a big thing.
Lack of privacy. And then also, this is a common thing in dreams where it's like, I'm trying to get a thing done and there's other things in the way that are really frustrating.
I think there's definitely something there with the fact that it's like you're masturbating, which we associate with like, it's kind of, you think of it as like kind of a juvenile thing or like, you know, like a teenager discovering their body thing, whatever, right? And like you've regressed to living with your parents while you were masturbating in your dream. And it's not like a sexual fulfillment dream, right? Because if your mind was trying to conjure up a way to satisfy you sexually, you would have had a sex dream, You're very
Yeah.
specifically having a masturbation dream where you're like cramped in with your parents and you can't find privacy and you don't have a way to do this,
Yeah.
Yeah, 'cause I
shameful
also
secret thing.
have been having plenty of sex dreams too lately, and they're markedly different. They're not shameful or embarrassing
Right.
like this one was. Those are usually fun.
Which is why it feels so much like the poop dreams,
Yeah.
right? Where it's like there's this kind of like you said, biological function that you want to take care of that you're a little ashamed of,
Mhm.
and then these people keep getting in the way of you doing this thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't even want to do the thing. I have to do the thing.
Right.
That's what's interesting, though. Like, similarly to poop, it's like a thing that people are embarrassed to talk about. Everyone does it, but we don't talk about it. But what's interesting is that it's like, it's not a thing you usually have to do, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, my libido definitely peaked at like 18 or whatever, but it does have to be, there's a release valve that has to be opened every now and then. I guess not literally have to, but you know,
Well, I guess I feel like with poop, it's like,
it's yeah, well, yeah,
it's going to
you die if you
happen
don't
whether
poop.
you want it to or not at a certain point.
Use it or lose it, am I right?
Hey, but if you don't, and this is people with penises, penile individuals,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't take care of it for long enough, it will eventually, you know, in the form of a nocturnal emission, take care of itself. Provided your libido is, you know, that of somebody under a certain age. It slowly diminishes throughout your life, but I don't know. I hear about pretty old dudes that still have this need.
We should have a wet dreams episode.
Yeah. Yeah, that's another thing that this dream and the sex dreams could be stemming from is simply sleeping on my stomach.
Yeah.
Mm.
Do you sleep on your stomach all the time?
I don't fall asleep on my stomach, but God, I don't know what I do after I fall asleep. I fall asleep on my left side,
Oh,
but I don't
okay.
know what I do after that because I can wake up in any position.
Oh, interesting. I was learning recently that sleeping on your stomach is apparently like the worst way you can sleep for your body.
Yeah, I've heard that too, like for your internal organs.
It sounds like it will like fuck up your back and stuff, and your neck and everything.
I toss and turn a lot.
As long
I
as
usually go
you're
to
not just pancaked there on your face all night, you're probably all right.
No, I think I rotisserie all night. I usually wake up with because I'll go to sleep with like a book, my vape, and my phone in the bed, and they usually all end up on the floor, and I end up wrapped like a burrito in the blankets. I'm a nightmare to sleep next to.
I was gonna say you shouldn't date.
That's what this dream's about. I'm focused on other things.
But I feel like we're talking kind of surface level on this,
Mhm.
but there probably is like some deeper meaning here, right? Besides it just being like a it's not a poop dream.
No.
And so your brain is trying to probably tell you something different than it would with a poop dream, but I think the similarities are relevant. Do you feel like us talking about this has like sparked any kind of possible understanding from your perspective, Zach?
Well, it's hard to say because this one is fresh. I had it last night, so I hadn't gone into this conversation with any preconceived notions. But yeah, I feel like dreams that involve sexuality, especially in like that, because there are sex dreams where like it doesn't happen, you know what I mean? Or a dream is sexual, but like there's no gratification or success in it. But this was the opposite. Like I had to take care of it before I could do other things. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it wasn't the goal. It was that thing in dreams where you're just trying to get past something and your dream keeps throwing you roadblocks. And then in this case, like increasingly embarrassing, like, oh, I've already exposed myself to the neighbors. Oh, whoops. Okay, well now how am I gonna do this?
I think that, yeah, I mean, sexual imagery is always, I think, especially in penile individual, sexual imagery is loaded with like, yeah, symbology has to do with like achievement and success. And I mean, it literally use those words. Like you achieve an orgasm, it's considered, or achieve an erection. I mean, it's like considered a success. It's a very like driven thing, supposedly. I totally forgot where I was going with this.
Well, one thing that's interesting is putting that in context with this being a dream where you're not necessarily a kid again, but you're living in your parents' house. And
that's where I was going with this.
Go for it.
That's the thing I hadn't thought about yet, because all the sexual stuff, the sexual imagery, I feel like carries very obvious meaning to it, that like it has been something that like most people grapple with since puberty, but I hadn't thought about it yet. I mean, like you said, my parents were there. I was trying to do it much like a teenager, quietly in my room. And then when I realized that the window went down to the floor, the image I had in my head of myself, of how I must have looked from down there, was very childish, like sitting on my bare ass, like with leaning on a wall. It felt very like a baby chimp.
Were you like fully erect throughout this dream? Okay. So you're like,
it never went away.
I've got this erection. What do I do with it? And then all these problems keep getting in the way of you taking care of it.
Yeah.
Okay. Gotcha.
Which would usually in real life, it would immediately deflate if I realized that my wall was made of glass. And I wouldn't keep trying. I would put clothes on. It might just be a straightforward reflection of the things I'm trying to get together and move forward with in my life right now. And the hurdles, the everyday kind of hurdles that I feel like are kind of not as insurmountable as they used to be. Like I used to feel like there were mountains in my way, and now I feel like my hurdles are like everyday little nuisances. And nothing I can't manage, but it is a little less private than it's ever been, which is just the nature of putting yourself out there. And
I do feel like this is a recurring theme in your dreams lately, though. The ocean, you're seeing these big waves off in the distance, but they're not actually a big problem when they're getting to you and you're having a good time. You seem to be having dreams that are reflecting that you're in a pretty good, positive place lately, and that like the challenges that you are facing are manageable.
I might just be projecting this onto you, but the sense I get of where you're at is that you're very driven and like feel like you have a direction, and being driven and feeling like you have a direction is maybe putting you in a place where you're seeing a lot of things that aren't directly connected to that as an inconvenience, right? Just things in your way. A lot of things are obstacles right now, right? And not much more than that, because it's just between you and your goal. And so masturbation representing like being focused on a goal, right? And then all of these things getting in the way of you, pursuing that is just a reflection of, where you're at, which is, I just want to get here. I just want to get to this place I'm trying to get. There's all this bullshit in the way.
Yeah. And maybe I was thinking too much of the masturbation as a hurdle, but maybe it is like actually representative of the goals, because achieving them on my own is definitely a part of my life right now, which plays into the whole dating thing. I did have a long conversation last night with a mutual friend of my ex and I hadn't spoken with her in years, and we really got into it, like talking about what happened between me and my ex, and it was a cathartic conversation, but it brought up a lot of why I haven't dated since then, because I was super stagnant for those 3 years and made a lot of sacrifices that led to a lot of dissatisfaction. I think since then, I've been really apprehensive about dating anybody unless I can be 100% sure that it's like that they're going in the same direction and that we're gonna like work.
Yeah.
And that doesn't just come out of the blue.
Sometimes
Where it does come out of the blue, but you have to wait for it to do that. You can't go chasing waterfalls.
It kind of does just fall into your lap when it's right, you know? And so, like, I think taking the tact of not, like, bothering with, like, trying to make dating happen for you does make sense. If the ultimate goal is that, like, that'll happen when it's supposed to happen.
Yeah, and I just want to be in a different place first, and I'm tired of, like, somebody being so close that they can watch me struggle to get there and actually feel like the struggles are fewer when nobody's watching.
Just like masturbating.
Yeah.
Just like masturbating, yeah. Figured it out. It's funny, we were kind of right. The candy dream turned out to be, like, really layered and deep and uncomfortable. And the thing about something really vulnerable and, you know, personal turned out to be just kind of
Just
about my life.
Yeah.
Just a general
I'm actually in a pretty good
reflection.
place right now.
Yeah.
There you have it.
All right, y'all. Thanks for listening to The Young and the Restless.
You can follow us on Instagram at The Young and the Restless Pod and submit your dreams to The Young and the Restless Pod at Gmail.
And as we always say, go fuck yourself, Jim.
Get you a tiger lily on the moon, and maybe someday we could go there together. For now the clock is screaming, welcome home. Dream forever, dream forever.
What are you still doing here? Have you been dreaming of me? Because I've been dreaming of you. And you want to tell me about it, you can leave it in an Apple Podcast review, and we'll pick one each week to read on the show.